Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead here. Today let's talk about Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team, Shadowvaults, Kasrkin, and it says Cryptek, but Necrons. Why would it say Cryptek? Anyway, chaps, chapesses, chapai, we've got some interesting things revealed. I was just at a live stream, me and the chat deciphered everything we possibly could, obviously, and I'm now delivering it to you in a nice, quick, easy format. The most important thing to remember is that we aren't 100% sure, because it doesn't specifically say the thing that we are all considering, okay? Let's get into it. First things first, Kasrkin. Hype. Along with, as they announced, the new killteam box, which is super cool. I'm really excited about that. It's always been my dream to have a super cool, well-painted, urban camo Imperial Guard force. Yes, it's easy to do the tanks urban camo, but managing to do it for 100 little gribbly dudes, quite a challenge, I would say. But maybe one day, maybe this will be the beginning of that, because hey, am I going to do 100 guys in urban camo? No. Am I going to do 10 guys? Probably also not. No, but maybe. That's the dream. And then the Necrons. Personally, I'm a big fan of this box. I actually prefer the aesthetic of this box over Into the Dark, because I didn't have any interest at all in Navy Breaches. But Necrons, they're so quick and easy to paint that I'm just like, yes, hype, cool. Oh, let's move this guy back here quickly, just so you can see him. A random Cthulhu model in the background, because that's life. Okay, let's go through this, and we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, or should I say, the terrain in the room. That doesn't make sense. Okay, here we go. Right. We're going to come back to this, because this is the big thing that we need to talk about. No, we're going to talk about it now, because it's the big thing we need to talk about. Okay. Let's zoom in. First things first, they did say, actually, that this is coming very soon. How peculiar. Okay. If we look at this, we can denote a few things. First things first, again, count this up on stream with the guys. There are 8 Necron models, and there are 10 Kasrkin models. Good. There are also a few additional things here that we have not seen in Into the Dark, and that is, if we look on screen, we can see this little thing here. They did highlight this in the stream. It's like a little ammo gun pile, and this here is a bomber, and this here is some sort of vehicle. We don't really know what that does, and this is another sort of vehicle. Don't really know what that does. It seems, from what we can tell, that those are narrative. So when I first saw this here, it's basically it's like a mini tank with like a double heavy bolter on it. I was like, oh my god, is that what the Kasrkin get? Are they going to be one guy and that? No, we think it's narrative. Again, we don't know, we're kind of guessing, making best guesses. So we think it's narrative, and it's not Kasrkin, it's not Necron, it's just a narrative thing. So instead of getting like the big engine blocks from Into the Dark or anything like that, or the fallen pipes, like there's no pipes here, we get this. And so much like in Into the Dark, that stuff was narrative only. We think this stuff that isn't the basic walls is narrative only. Cool. However, that means that what is there is identical to Into the Dark. Hasn't been confirmed, but it seems that at the very least for Into the Dark and Shadowvaults, and therefore if we were to extrapolate out a little bit, the next two, whatever they're called, I can't remember, Soul Shackle and Gallowfall, off the top of my head there, it seems like we're going to be getting the same set of terrain for the next year in all of these big boxes. How do we feel about that? You know? Okay, so first things first. I'm okay with it for the first 2 boxes, because I think, as they just announced, 40k is getting an additional mode. So, if you're aware, at the end of 8th edition, they released this Psychic Awakening expansion set, which was like a year they released stuff for. And it was just more models, more rules for every faction. But this year they're doing the same thing, but it's all about breaching boarding parties. So it's not Crusade, and it's not tournament, match play, whatever it is. It's its own thing, and it's using this Gallo Dark terrain, this Into the Dark terrain. But instead of for Kill Team, we use one board. For 40k, it's going to use 2 boards. So you can now go out and buy this for 40k. And it will give you 2 Kill Team size boards and 2 full Into the Dark walled terrain sets. And then that's a 500-point version of the game that they're doing over there. So for me, I can kind of totally trick myself into this and say, oh, you know what? I want to play 40k at some point. This is essentially Zone Mortalis, except it's ship themed. And so I'm pretty okay with that. I'm cool with this. However, this means I'm going to end up potentially with 4 sets of identical terrain by the end of the year. And it's like, ugh, I'm not going to be able to sell that. And I don't want to build that. And I don't want to paint that. So what do I do? Pass, not sure. Okay, moving on. Because that's for you to decide. That's for you to decide. I do think that what this is going to do is going to make it quite easy for everyone to say, you know what, I bought Into the Dark, cool. Or I waited on Into the Dark and I bought... And basically, this year, I think you buy 1 box and then you just wait for the team you want. In the last year of Kill Team, it was super easy to kind of suggest that you just buy every box because you got great teams, you got great different varied terrain. There wasn't really a huge downside to buying the boxes. In this one, because it's identical terrain, it's kind of like, maybe not, actually. Like, you can skip it. You don't need it, really. But at the same time, there is a positive, and the reason they've done it, presumably, is that this means you don't have to buy Into the Dark, right? So if you've missed Into the Dark, because, you know, it is a limited time box, that's okay. You just buy the next box. And then you still have all the terrain that you need to play competitively. So in that regard, yes, it makes perfect sense. You can always go out and buy the latest Kill Team box. You haven't missed it because you missed the first box of the season. And you don't have to go and buy the 40k double box set just to be able to play on one board and play just, the competitive tournament pack, the critical missions pack for Kill Team. So, pros and cons. All right, let's go down to these bad boys here. These are the Kasrkin. Oh, what does that remind me of? It's a Dune thing. Harkonnen? Kasrkin? No, I don't know. Definitely Fremen? Moving on. So, they seem to be a 10 model team. We start off with our leader, Plasma Pistol, Chainsword. Classic combo. You always run that, presumably. Then we've got Comms Guy. Yeah, that makes sense. We've got Plasma Guy. We've got Mine Placing Dude. You know, so far, pretty similar to Vet Guard. We've got Grenade Guy. Then we've got Grenade Launcher Guy. Then we've got Sniper Guy. Then we've got Man that brings snacks to the battlefield Guy. Presumably, that's what he does. So who would that be? He's giving you food, right? So he's a medic. He's a medic because he brings you food. And that's his little snack pouch. That's nice. Generous of him. Then we get Flamer. And then we get Auspex. And that's it. That's pretty much what I'd expect from Kasrkin. If you think that the Vet Guard were the Imperial Guard, the Imperial Guardsmen from Compendium, the Kasrkin, I assume, are basically just going to be Scions from the Compendium. That's why they're 10 models instead of the 14 of the Vet Guard. So they're probably going to be 3-up shooting. They're going to be 4-up saves, which is obviously better than the Vet Guard. And they're all going to be, I would imagine, pretty standard. You know, we can already tell Comms is probably going to give somebody +1 APL. Auspex is probably going to let someone have like the spotter ability or no cover or whatever it is the Auspex does this time, because they seem to always be different. But then conversely to Vet Guard, probably not going to get any GA2, but instead we're going to get lots of special weapons, just like Scions get. Presumably, we'll be able to place orders, and they won't have to be having a commsman close to the leader to be able to spread that order to everybody. That kind of thing. Yeah. Maybe there will be a way to give them free mission actions or something. Don't know. But that's Kasrkin. I think they look cool, and I'm hyped for them to go alongside the Cadia box. We then get the Necrons. Sorry, what are they called? Does it say? They just called them Cryptex up top, didn't they? Oh no. Oh no, I don't know. We'll just call them the Necrons, that's fine. Cool. Oh, what is it? Oh, here we go. Necron Hyrotech Circles. Commanded by a Cryptech. Lovely jubbly. And they get Faithful Apprentice, Plasmacytes, and an upgraded Immortal Despotech. Now, I'm just going to throw this out there. Allow me to highlight this for you. Let's put it on screen. That's the actual word, a despot. And then they said, let's make it Necron. Ek. Wow. That's GW, peak G-dubs there. So we get the Cryptech. I don't really know what this guy does in 40k, but presumably he's going to have fly, because he's kind of flying on his little spider dude. Maybe his little, it's not called a spider, is it? Oh my gosh. I used to love Necrons. Why can't I remember any of the lingo? What's it? It's a scarab. It's a flight scarab, I don't know. So perhaps the scarab will have separate attacks, or he can do something with the scarab, I don't know, but presumably he's flying, so he might just get fly, or maybe he'll get extra move and be like full circle, which is like the complete opposite of a Necron, so like all the other Necrons super slow, but he's super fast. We get a Deathmark. Now, obviously the Kasrkin are all new, right? It seems like this is following the trend of other, the previous season, where we're getting an expansion sprue. So we're getting the Cryptech as his own thing, his own character. But then everything else, I think, is just going to be an expansion sprue for an Immortals box. So anyway, this is just a Deathmark. However, he's got an additional head. So this is a new head, which we have to assume comes from the expansion sprue. Does this mean we're getting like maybe not named, but like unique Deathmarks? However, if that's the case, let's go to the next bit. This is also a Deathmark with a slightly different head. Are we just going to have to figure out what's what? That's going to be a real challenge. And then we get this guy, who is a despot. Sorry, a despotech. Who is an immortal with a Gorse. Cannon? Flare? Can't remember. I think cannon. Gorse cannon? No. Gorse flare, Gorse blaster. Pass. I'm going to say it's the blaster. No, it's the flare. Man, what are Necrons up to? What are Necrons up to? So anyway, now we're only seeing, so we know that Deathmarks come in the Immortals box. And this guy is an Immortal Despotech, right? Immortal Despotech. But then maybe we don't actually get to run the Immortals. So we get him, but then we get Deathmarks instead. Maybe there are no Immortals? But then Immortal Despotech, I assume a Despot is someone that like subjugates people. So he would subjugate other Immortals, but presumably much like a Royal Warden from 40k, he could subjugate, I don't know, whatever. We then get two Plasmacytes. Now Plasmacytes in 40k are your buff bots. They kind of buff people here and there. Presumably, they're going to do a similar thing here. So instead of having a comms, you might have one of these guys gives you APL or specs or whatever it is they do. Yeah. And then we get the Apprentech. So not a Cryptech, but an Apprentech. Somebody pointed out he looks incredibly similar to one of the unique models that was released a while ago, something the Hunched. And he's this guy here. What is he going to do? Is he going to be a mini Cryptech? Like, in what way? How are they going to buff? For those of you unaware, in 40k, Cryptechs are HQ models. So wait, is this our first HQ model? No, because technically Warp Coven use sorcerers who are actually HQ models in the Thousand Suns Codex. But this might be... Anyway, they are not really combat characters. They are more buffing units, much like the plasmacytes are. And presumably the Apprentech is also therefore some sort of buffing type unit. So this could be a really interesting team. We know it's an 8 model team, which is these 3 here. So the plasmacytes, the Cryptech, and then 5 dudes. Maybe this team's going to be all about buffing the 5 Deathmarks you bring. Like maybe it's all going to be, you know, this guy gives up an APL to give an APL here. This guy gives up an APL to give comms. I don't know, you know, that sort of thing. And that's it. That's it. Oh, sorry. And here's the narrative stuff. So this is like the a buzzsaw arm, presumably to cut through walls. But hey, you can never measure through walls. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Thank you. This is a bomb that will blow up and destroy the map, but won't obviously go through a wall. So just close the door. You're fine. Ammo pile, sentry gun thing. And that's it. I will say, I do want to point this out, in regards to this terrain, I think it looks like, if you're just hyped for like boarding action stuff, I think you're going to end up with a really sweet looking like home base. If you're wanting to build kind of like Necromunda, but of course you could do that for anything, for just your faction in Kill Team or in 40k, you're going to be able to build a really cool base for them, I think, with all the stuff they're giving us. So that's pretty nice, to be honest. Yeah. But it's all going to be the same terrain, obviously. So there you go. And that's it. That's Gallowdark. That's Shadowvaults. Guys, if you watched to the end, thank you so much. This has been an interesting release. As you can tell, I'm hot off of having just done a 2-hour live stream. Hence me forgetting to say things like, subscribe, leave a comment, all that stuff. But please do all of that. Also, check out my Patreon if you want to support what I do. Check out my merch, because I have it, technically. Look at this. Crisp. Oh, wow. Yeah, it comes through that straw really well. That's quality merch, that is. Excellent. And that's it. I also have a Discord. I also have a podcast that I haven't even updated the latest episode of, about how to play Pathfinders, but I should probably do that. But you know what? If you watched to the end, you've already done enough. So thank you, sir. Anyway, guys, have a good day.